Councillor Barker, you had an apology yesterday for this meeting and you're here today. How does that work?
I gave an apology for yesterday.
No, but this is a hearing that goes through both days. You're here. There is a challenge with that, though, on the basis that some decisions you won't be able to partake in because of information that was received yesterday, and I'm not sure how we deal with that. Is there a clear delineation, Chief Executive, of what Mr. Barker could contribute to and what he will not be able to contribute to?
Morning, councillors. I've got as I think I indicated to you yesterday afternoon, I had a list of decisions that you could have worked through yesterday afternoon because all the submissions on those topics have been heard. So to me it's quite clear what the things outside of that, certainly there could be. Okay. Councillor
certainly can participate,
yep.
Ask questions, etc., but you can't be expected to make decisions on material you haven't heard. And I think that's fair. Well, it's more than fair, it's actually natural justice. So.
Well, can I just make a first thing? You said there's a challenge, and the first thing is you haven't identified who the challenger is, so I think you should do that. You're going to talk about natural justice. The second thing is that what I think you've got here is an issue, is that I am elected, and I'm elected by 8,000 plus people to exercise a right of a vote. And if you're going to say that I'm not entitled to exercise my vote on any particular subject, then that's a direct affront to the democratic institution. Now, whether I have all the material to make that decision or not is entirely my decision. Whether people think I have acted inappropriately is between me and the people who elected me. It is not for you, the person who's elected, to represent Wairoa, to come and tell someone from the constituency of Hastings that they're not entitled to vote. That's the fundamental of it.
Well, as chairman of this hearing, I do take issue with that on the basis that you have been elected by 8,000 odd people to represent them, which means fronting up to all the meetings, not picking and choosing what suits you and what doesn't. We all have challenges in our diaries, granted. To get an email the night before to say, look, I'm not sure what's happening tomorrow, even though you had 2 lots of written instruction on that, and my phone call never came. I thought everything was under control as far as you were concerned, a man of your experience. To turn around now and say, throw your toys, basically, and say, look, I'm here, I'll vote on whatever I like, thanks very much, doesn't work like that. The people that were here yesterday took their time to write to us, took their time to present to us, put a lot of effort into what they believe in, what they want us to do to set the pathway for the next 12 months. You were not here. How can you fairly represent their views when you haven't heard them?
Well, that's another matter. Can I say to you, there have been times when other people have been absent from this council chamber.
Not during a hearing.
I just want to make the point. People have been absent from this chamber before. You yourself have been absent from this chamber. And if you're going to then say, because a person's absent, they're not entitled to participate in a subsequent meeting or a subsequent matter, I disagree with that entirely. How I exercise my vote is, to me, the vote was given to me on the basis that I was elected. You were not elected or made chair of this meeting to decide how I exercise my vote as an elected councillor. It's fundamental as that. That's the line. And no matter how you dress it up, there is no way that you can say, Councillor Barker, you're able to vote on this. Councillor Barker, you are not able to vote on that. Because that's what you're asking for, and I don't agree with that at all.
Well,
should you rule on that, then I'll challenge it.
That's fine, and that's probably where we will end up. But on the basis that
Well, let's share the information.
Let's adjourn for 5 minutes and get an opinion on this, because actually you're putting this whole hearing in jeopardy if you feel that you can vote on everything even though you haven't heard the evidence. That's all I'm saying here. You know how this works. Associate Speaker of the House, come on. You know exactly how this works.
Well,
you put this whole process at risk because of your insistence on something that actually you don't have a call on, in my view.
Well,
and as the chair, you put me in a position. I've got to find a way through this.
well,
I'm asking for your help in that, Councillor Barker.
well, I'm going to be very helpful to you. Very helpful indeed. It's not before today that people have exercised a vote on a matter that they've had virtually no understanding of because they've heard none of the debate. If you're talking about the comparisons in a parliamentary democracy, very often the debates are led by a few in the party, and the bulk of the party members, the party representatives in the House, don't hear it at all. But they are guided and they vote as a party. No one says, because you haven't read all the material, that you can't exercise your vote. That would be an outrage. The second thing is, I may have missed some of the hearings which are here, but we've all been provided with material in writing. Now, are you going to say that I can't make a decision on that material, having read it, or I can only make a decision on it because people have submitted on it?
Did you get the additional material yesterday that came through?
What happens if people who have made written submissions and haven't turned up here to give oral submissions? Are you saying that you can only therefore make this judgment on people with oral submissions?
No.
But this
No, you're twisting this, Councillor. Let me finish. Of course you can make a vote on that, absolutely. And new material today and new issues, absolutely. There is natural justice in that. But the people, forget about who voted for who here. You're representing the whole region around this table. Whoever turned up here yesterday took their time. They want the people that heard their version of events to be able to make an informed decision and vote. And I think that's fair. If I was one of the people that turned up yesterday, say I had I wanted to go in a course of direction, a new person that hadn't heard my argument turned up and voted no, and it failed, I could be quite aggrieved about that. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, there's two things about this. Firstly,
No, just yes or no. Yes or no. Would you be aggrieved with that, Councillor Barker? I would be.
well,
And I think everyone else around this table would be as well. So all I'm asking you is to be reasonable in this matter. I want to include you, and I'll do everything I can to include you, but for the sake of natural justice, I ask that you respect the work that was done yesterday and excuse yourself for 4 or 5 decisions. That's all I'm asking.
Well, the first thing I would say to you is this. This is not a matter of natural justice. Natural justice applies to the legal system. So you're confusing principles here. Now, we're not talking here...
You weasel words. Excuse me, Councillor. Yes or no? Will you participate under fair rules and give everyone in Hawke's Bay a fair go, or are you going to make a meal of this?
Well, I would suggest to you, you go and take the advice of Leanne, which is written to you, it's advice, and said for to have a 5-minute recess for you to go and consult, and you go and do that. And you go and do that, and you consult and ask the question, under what circumstances can I require a councillor not to exercise their right to a vote? And I'd like to hear what those said.
And as I do that, may I also ask you to put a bit more effort into your role as a councillor going forward and turn up to meetings, and we won't have this debate.
Well,
get your priorities right. I adjourn.
Look, that's a vent. You're going to make a